Aluhu. El Shaddai Lehenu Molea Botenu. Abiaba Yiska Wabiako. Takwados, which make a Quados, Baruch make a Rolam Wae. With Shalom B'nai Israel, El Shabbat La So El Shabbat Le Dor Tamri Olam. Beni B'nai Israel Otilola. Kisha Shechem Masa El Shaddai Wa Shamayim. Wayeta Aretz Ubayom Mashvi Shabbat Wa Inafash. Baruch Shemeka, Baruch Yemeneka, Baruch Torateka, Baruch Kedushateka. El Shaddai Malek, El Shaddai Malak, El Shaddai Imlok Lolam Wae. Baruch Shem Kabo Makuto Lolam Wae. Baruch Kabo Elohim Nikomo Melech Elyon. Aluhu Lolam Wae. First of all, I'd like to give all honor and praise to the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, the great mighty, the very God, the Most High God, who bestows loving kindness, possesses all things, who remembers the pious deeds of the patriarchs, the Most High, slow of anger, great in kindness, forgiving iniquity and transgressions, but who will by no means clear the guilty, visit iniquities of fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generation. The Most High's work is perfect, for all his ways of justice, the God of faithfulness and without iniquity, just and right and seed. You may be seated. Giving due respect and honor to a head in Israel, my father, Chief Eleazar, to the chief men, princes, mother in Israel, brothers and sisters, I say unto you the tongue of my forefathers, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Why do we, as a people, magnify your faults? Why do we magnify each other's faults? To prove your actions. To justify your actions. Why do we magnify a person's faults to justify what you did? Why? Because we don't have that conscience. We don't have that conscience to make amends, to repair the things or the actions or the things that your person said. We don't have that. So we justify our actions, and it could be dead wrong. It's dead wrong, but you still justify your actions. Why? These moral laws are laws that shows us how to live. These laws are laws, commandments, and statutes from God that shows us how to live. What to do to live. What to do to be godly and just. Okay? And to be godly and just, you have to follow the laws and his ways. We have to seek out and investigate these laws and the ways of God and start putting these things into action. Start putting these things into one's lifestyle. Okay? Now, most of us don't know how to love. The only one that's loving right is God. I said the only one that's loving right is God. We don't know how to love. But you know what teaches us how to love each other? The book. The book, when you read, it shows you what hatred is. The book, when you read it, it shows you how to be able to detect when a person is loving you or accepting you or hating you or despising you. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 17. Got it? Let's go from the top.
Deuteronomy chapter 17. Thou shalt not sacrifice unto the Lord thy God any bullock or sheep wherein is blemish.
Okay. The sacrifices was a way out. God had has given us a way out. Why did God allow us this way out? Because from the beginning of time, the Creator realized that we're going to need a way out because of what happened in the beginning of times with Adam. When Adam ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, right? That's when we were born in iniquity. That's when the grain of evil seed begins to be sown in the heart of man. So therefore, God has given us a way out by allowing us to be able to give up sacrifices and offerings to make atonement for our iniquities, to make amends for the things that we have done offensive before God and man. But when we set up these offerings, when they sent up these sacrifices, it was something called guilt. In order to do this, you have to feel sorry for what you did.
Sure.
You have to feel a certain type of way for the things that you have said.
Sure.
Because if you're not sorry, then you're going to repeat it. The peace offerings was to make peace, to gain favor in the eyes of God. And as soon as you sent up this peace offering, it was steps and stages that you had to get to. Mm-hmm. If I didn't confess and make amends and send up a sin offering, you ain't just sent up a peace offering. Before you sent up the peace offering, you got to make atonement. I said you got to make an atonement first before you sent up the peace offering. So therefore, that's the order. You have to repair the breach first before there's any peace being made. Why do you want peace, but you didn't repair and fix what you did? You didn't address what you did. You didn't address what you said because you don't acknowledge and realize that you was wrong. You didn't realize, and you still don't realize and acknowledge that you was wrong. See, this is what our forefathers had that we as a people don't have today. We have a hard time acknowledging our faults before God and man. And then when we do things, we justify the things that we do. And we give you a reason why we did it. When everything stems from what you did. A blemish is a defect or a physical defect. A blemish is also moral stain. Okay? So you can have a defect in your physical, and you can have a defect in your morals. You can have a defect in your morals. So what is morals? Morals are principles. What are the principles? The principles is the laws, commandments, statutes of the living God. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. And through those 5 books and throughout the history, throughout 1st and 2nd Samuels and Judges and Kings and Chronicles, you will learn the ways of God by reading about a people that God has accepted, how they moved and how they behaved, how they thought. And by us reading these things should tell you how you should think, how you should move, how you should act, because our forefathers didn't move that way or didn't think in that form or fashion. So, okay, go ahead. All right, hold up. Principles of right and wrong behavior. Which means what? You have to be able to tell yourself, I shouldn't have behaved that way. I shouldn't have moved that way. Nah, I shouldn't have said that. And sometimes if you don't say it, and if you don't see it, God, if you have gained any favor in the eyes of God, he would allow someone to instruct you and show you where you went wrong at. Ain't that we did with King David? He sent Nathan the prophet, and he sent him with a beautiful parable that there's no way that you can deny that you can't get around it. And sometimes you have to put certain things in a certain way so that you can see yourself. And then when you see yourself, then your fault's supposed to come to mind. You did that.
I also have done thus.
Say, you did that. And when King David heard that these are the things that he did, what was the first thing he said? I have sinned. I violated. Do we know that King David, for the rest of his life, fasted and prayed and repented for that sin that he did against Uriah the Hittite? This is the ways of God. This is why my father said, as long as we live, we have to live with a guilty conscience. Why? Because we all are at fault with God. And because if you live and continue your life with a guilty conscience, then you will never uplift yourself above nobody, because I already had that guilt in me. But the reason why we uplift ourselves in pride and haughtiness and get all self-esteem and estimation, because we don't have pride and you don't feel the guilt. You don't have no guilt in you. The guilt that you have in you is supposed to muffle the pride. Supposed to muffle. Supposed to humble you. That's how King David was. You don't see after Shimei came, kicked us, rocks. But his reaction was a humble reaction. And he's the king. You know where that reaction came from? Why he responded in the humbling state? Guilt. So it's sad to say this. According to how we react to negative responses will tell me if you are still guilty inside. Come on, man. Come on, man. This is what the book shows. As you read, God will open your eyes and show you this. A person that has much pride, you can hear it in their response. You can hear it in their talk. You can hear it in their actions. Principles of right and wrong behavior and the goodness or badness of human character. A person's standards of behavior or beliefs concerning what is and is not acceptable for them to do according by the laws and the commandments of God. This is why it's very important to read. It's very important to read this thing here over and over, because before I react, I'm going to think. You're going to think. That's automatic. You're going to think and say, wait a minute, should I move this way? Is this the right way to move? Is this the right way to react? Your morals or your ideas about what is right or wrong, especially how you should act and treat people, because there's a treatment that comes when you're serving God. There's a treatment that comes when you're serving God. That's right. Let's read.
Thou shalt not sacrifice unto the Lord thy God any bullock or sheep wherein is blemish, or any evil favoredness.
And we did that to God, man. Yeah. We gave God what we didn't want. We gave God what we didn't want. My father looked and said, why are you giving this to me? Would you wear it?
You don't want it.
If you don't want it, why are you giving it to me? Huh? God said, listen, man, Go give it to your governor and see if he accepts it.
That's right.
And see if he will take it. Which means you don't give somebody something that you wouldn't give to yourself.
That's right.
But you don't like. Okay, go ahead.
But that is an abomination unto the Lord thy God.
Read.
Verse 2.
Verse
If
2.
there be found among
If
you
there be found among
within
you,
any of thy gates, which the Lord thy God giveth thee, man or woman,
man or woman,
that hath wrought
that have
wickedness
done wickedness
in the sight of the
in
Lord
the
thy
sight
God,
of the Lord thy God, and doing what? Now
transgressing.
we're going to see what is wickedness. What wickedness is God talking about? Don't call me wicked if I didn't depart. Go ahead. What it says?
in transgressing his
In
covenant,
transgressing this covenant. The word for transgressing is abad. Abad means to depart. In departing away from the agreement of God. Huh?
broke the deal.
We broke the deal. I said we broke the deal. God went into covenant with a people because of one man. I said God went into covenant with a nation of people, millions and millions of people, because of one man.
That's right. Abraham said it all.
What did Abraham have in him that caused God to accept millions of people after him? Because we dealing with a just God. If I'm your friend, then whatever comes from you is my friend.
That's right.
And that's how God moves. But in order to keep that agreement between God, there were certain things we had to fulfill.
Requirements.
There were certain requirements that we have to live by. And that was keeping and fulfilling the laws, commandments, and statutes of God. Tom, see?
Deuteronomy 17, verse 3.
Verse 3.
And have gone and served other gods.
And have gone and served other gods. The word for gone is yalak. Yalak means to go. Yalak also means to walk. Okay? To go means to follow a certain course. To follow a certain course or procedure. It's very important that you don't follow the procedures of the nations, the procedure of the people. This is why I don't pray before I eat. I eat first and then I bless God, because that's what it says in the book. That's what it says in the book. He said to follow a certain course or procedure, to be compatible. That was one of the definitions of to go. So when you have gone and served other gods, you are the same. You become compatible. What causes you to be compatible to these people? We didn't look the same. I said we didn't dress the same. We didn't look the same. We didn't think the same. And that soon, right, it means suitable or becoming. So what is a procedure? A procedure is a traditional or established way of doing something. I said a traditional or established way of doing something. A tradition is the handing down of information, beliefs, or customs by word of mouth, inherited pattern of thought and actions. So we are the ones that train this child up and have this child thinking the way they thinking. By the information you feed them. By their upbringing. Compatible means able to exist together. How are you able to exist with a person that don't serve the same God you serve? Nehemiah chapter 13, right? It says Yashab. He said you live. Let me go there quick fast. Let me go to Nehemiah chapter 13. I'm gonna hit the spot. You ain't gotta go there. It says, in those days, Nehemiah chapter 13, verse 21, right? It says, no, verse 28. Shall we then hearken unto you to do all this great evil, to transgress against our God in marrying strange wives? The word for marrying is yashab. It means
in dwelling or living with foreign women, strange women, living or dwelling with people that don't have the same mindset as you, that don't serve your God. So what am I doing living with this person? And we don't serve the same God. Huh? I can't even live with you. Go ahead. No, hold up. To walk is a course of action, is a procedure adopted to deal with a situation. Okay? Go ahead, read.
Verse 3.
Verse 3.
And have gone and served other gods.
And have gone and served other gods.
And worshipped them.
Either
the sun or moon or any of the host of heaven, which I have not commanded.
Sun worship is in all religions.
That's the base. That's the source.
That's the source. And it stemmed from Nimrod. Okay? Nimrod, something I little wrote here. Today we have people that challenge God.
Oh, man.
Yes. Today we have people that challenge God by revolting and departing away from the laws and the commandments of God. And how do we depart away from his laws? By adding on and taking away. By adding on and taking away. And it started in the beginning of times during the building of the Tower of Babel or Babylon, which means confusion by mixing. This seed that challenged God was planted thousands of years ago. Nimrod was full of pride and a desire to unify the people with the will to deify God. Nimrod profaned himself and defiled himself through sexual rituals and became a mighty one against God. The pagan custom of Nimrod is in every religion, which is the Anglo-Saxon word rigolato, to hold you back from the truth. Okay? So now, sun worship is in every religion. Why? Like I said, it started from the Tower of Babel, which was confusion. So now the people got together to build a tower, which kindled the wrath of God. And because of that, he confused and confounded their language, which caused the people to separate. When each of these people separated, each and every one of them took sun worship with them.
Told a story.
Yeah. And that's why you have sun worship. It all derived from this, but it had different perceptions or different terminology of how it came about.
Stories the same.
Different. That's right. That's right. Tom Sheik, where we at?
And have gone and served other gods and worshipped them, either the sun or moon, or any of the host of heaven, which I have not commanded. And it be told thee, thou hast heard of it, and inquired diligently.
In the Hebrew, it says darashta hati, has seek out the good. Has seek out the good. You know what else it means? You seek out the good. Why do we seek out good? To be better before God. To do it. To fulfill. So my job, our job, is not to go according to what a person say, but I have to seek out the matter and find out what took place. Diligent inquisition, especially when we are dealing with each other. With ones in here. And guess what? With others that serve the same God you serve.
That's right.
I can't side with you against Jeroboam that go to another camp. Jeroboam goes to another camp. And you ended up in conflict with Jeroboam. I can't side with you because you're my brother over Jeroboam. My job is to sit Jeroboam down and sit you down and hear what happened. That's how I have to deal with that situation. You know, when I don't side and find out what happened when it's dealing with heathens. Once the heathen violate, now I'm on your side automatically. I will correct you behind closed doors. When we get home, you'll be corrected. But I'm not going to correct you in front of this pagan.
No. That's the division.
That's the division.
That's right.
But I can't deal with that with another brother that served the same God you serve. I have to sit you down, and you got to sit down, and I got to hear what happened, and I have to judge the matter righteously. Why? Because I always got to remember that this guy here served the same God you serve, regardless of what. Tom sheet.
Verse 4. And if he told thee, and thou hast heard of it, and inquired diligently, and behold,
it be true,
and the thing certain that such abomination is wrought in Israel.
done in Israel.
Verse 5. Then thou shalt bring forth that man or
Then thou
that
shalt
woman
bring forth that man or that woman
which have committed that wicked thing
which have committed that wicked and evil thing
unto the gates, even that man or that woman, and shall stone them with stones till they die. At the mouth of 2 witnesses or 3 witnesses shall he that is worthy of death be put to death.
And the witnesses has to be interrogated.
That's right.
Because you can have witnesses that lie. You can have 2 or more witnesses, 3 witnesses, 4 witnesses, and they're all lying. Tom sheet.
But at the mouth of 1 witness he shall not be put to death.
That's right.
The hands of the witnesses shall be first upon him to put him to
One
death.
witness don't condemn nothing. So I gotta leave that matter alone and just watch the situation and see what happens. Observe the matter. There's only 1 witness.
He could be lying.
And he could be lying. God said have 2 or more witnesses. This is when you fully accept God.
That's right.
When you are able to fully accept God as your God, you're not going to deal with you're not going to deal with situations and matters according to how you feel, according to your judgment. You will always recollect or go back to how God has commanded us and showed us how we should deal with each other. Because when we don't deal that way, you don't know how God look at you.
That's right.
You don't know how God look at you. And that is a form of self-esteem. Your way. That's a form of pride. When you can't deal with situation according to the way God said deal with it, that's a form of pride. Time sheet.
The hands of the witnesses shall be burst upon him to put him to death. And afterward the hands of all the people. So thou shalt put the evil away from among you. Verse 8. If there arise a matter too hard for thee in judgment, between blood and blood.
Between blood and blood. Which means blood and blood, family. Right? Go ahead.
Between plea and plea.
Plea and plea.
And between stroke and
Stroke
stroke.
and stroke.
Being matters of controversy within thy gates. Then thou shalt arise and get thee up into the place which the Lord thy God shall choose.
He said, arise and get to the place which the Lord thy God shall choose. Right? Who's going to solve this matter? The high priest. Okay, go ahead.
And thou shalt come unto the priest,
Come unto the priest,
the Levites, and unto the judge that shall be in those days, and inquire, and they shall show thee the sentence of judgment. And thou shalt do according to the sentence which they of that place which the Lord shall choose shall show thee.
How many of us is ready for this? You know how many situations occurred? And I have to go to a person that said, that's not what the book says. The book said, and you still hear rebuttal. You still hear rebuttal. You still hear conflict. You still hear an argument. That is supposed to dead everything. Once the book is brought out, it deads what I feel. It deads how I feel. It deads what you feel. There shouldn't be no ands, ifs, or buts, because God has spoken through the book. I said, God has spoken through the book. Through the book. So So we gotta adhere and take heed and get rid of your pride so you can take heed to God. Forget about me. I'm just repeating what God said. Take heed to what God said. Remember, these are the words that came directly out the mouth of God. So when we go against this, you're going against God. Go ahead.
And thou shalt observe to do according to all that they inform thee. Verse 11.
Verse 11.
According to the sentence of the law which they shall teach thee, and according to the judgment which they shall tell thee, thou shalt do.
Thou shalt do.
Thou shalt not decline.
Thou shalt not
from
decline
the sentence
from the
which they shall
sentence
show thee
to
to the right hand,
to the right hand
or to the left.
or to the left.
And the man that will do presumptuously.
And the man that will do presumptuously, right? Overstepping due boundaries. That's presumptuousness. When you overstep boundaries, which means if we serve God and we call ourselves righteous and godly, then we should all have boundaries that we won't cross. Why? Because if we cross those boundaries, then we'll be in violation with God. You'll be in violation with the Creator. But some of us just forget about the boundaries. We forgot about boundaries, and I just hook off and punch you in your face. And now I don't want to sit down and let him punch me back in my face now. I don't want to sit down and let him punch me back. What kind of mentality is that, man? Those type of mentality, I can't be around. Why? Because you would do things to me and not expect it back done to you. And I don't rock like that. I'm never gonna do nothing to you that I wasn't done to me.
I don't like it.
And I'm sorry, and I'm not patting myself on the back. Ain't nobody could say that I did anything to them that I ain't like done to me. Because I watch myself, and I'm on point with myself. And I don't say nothing to you that I want me said to me. I don't do nothing to you that I don't want said to me. Because I guard myself in righteousness according to the word of God.
That'll do it.
Insolence, pride, arrogancy. What is insolence? Contemptuously rude or impertinent before or speech. Impertinent is disregard for others. Pride is inordinate self-esteem. A person that arouses a feeling of deep pleasure or satisfaction. This is why we can't get a heart. This is why we don't have a heart, because we won't give up pride. That's all a form of pride. And this is why we do things without considering. This is why we say things without considering, because we have too much pride in us. And because we won't give up pride, you won't have a heart. You won't consider. You won't regard. You're not going to acknowledge and regard nobody. You only regard yourself. Me. I did this because. I did this. I said this because. Not saying I did this and I said this and I was wrong.
Right.
I did this and I said this because. Those are pride words. Those are words of pride. Tamshi.
And the man that will do presumptuously and will not hearken unto the priest that standeth to minister there before the Lord thy God, or unto the judge, even that man shall die. And thou shalt put away the evil from Israel. Protocol.
The priest should be able to tell you, listen, don't do this, move this way, stop doing this. And God said, when you don't hearken to the words of those priests, he said, that's a death penalty. That's a death penalty. Go ahead, read.
And all the people shall hear.
And all the people shall
And
hear and fear.
And do no more presumptuously.
And do no more presumptuously.
When thou art,
Because judgment is what instills fear. I said judgment is what instills fear. We got to learn to be afraid not to offend God.
That's right.
Be afraid not to offend your parents. When we do and say things that is offensive before God and our parents, that's not fear. You are not afraid. You are not scared.
No.
And when we have offended God or our parents, there's a guilty conscience that's supposed to stir up within you that you're gonna have that feeling obligation to make amends before God and your parents. I'm not gonna leave that undone.
No.
I'm not gonna leave that for weeks, 2 weeks, a month,
No.
walking around here like I'm straight. No. We supposed to bend the knee before God when we acknowledge a sin that we have violated before God. Why it take us so long to start strapping on some sackcloth and fasting and making amends before God and not repeating that action of what you did again? Why? Because that's the purpose of fasting and praying, not to stop moving like you're moving. Huh? And that's the only way to smite your spirit is by fasting. Because you can't smite that because you can't see it. This is why sin is deadly. Iniquity is deadly. Iniquity blemishes your spirit, something that only God can see. I can't see it. How blemished your spirit is. You can't see how blemished my spirit is. But I can tell how blemished your spirit is according to what you live and how you do. Let's read.
Verse 14. When thou art come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee.
When thou art come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee.
And shalt possess it.
And what verse is that?
14.
Go ahead.
And shalt dwell therein, and shall say, I will set a king over me, like as all the nations.
Okay, that's 9. Go ahead. When thou art come into the land, go ahead, right, read.
When thou art come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, and shalt possess it, and shalt dwell therein, and shall say, I will set a king over me.
I will set a king over me.
Like as all the nations.
That was our problem. And this is our problem today. We desire to be like the people.
Yes, sir. That's right.
We desire to be like them.
Still.
Up to today.
Yeah.
When God gave us laws, commandments, and statutes to differentiate us, to put a separation between you and them by how we live and how we think, by our actions. Go ahead.
Like as all the nations that are about me. Verse 15. Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose. One from among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee. Thou mayest
go to verse 10.
Verse 10?
Yeah.
And thou shalt do according to the sentence which they of that place.
No, there shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire.
You said what verse?
I'm 18. I'm sorry. Yeah. What verse you at?
Deuteronomy 17, verse 14.
Verse 14. Read verse 14 over. I'm sorry.
When thou art come unto the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, and shalt possess it, and shalt dwell therein, and shalt say, I will set a king over me, like as all the nations that are round about me.
If that ain't love, then I don't know what that is. We was the last nation established.
That's right.
We didn't have nowhere to go. We didn't have no land. God removed the Canaanites out the land and gave us their land.
Yeah.
First of all,
And then he told us, he said, to remain in this land, this is what you have to do.
In order to remain.
In order to remain in this land, you have to live according to these laws,
last few
commandments, and statutes, because the land is a reaction is gonna happen with the land.
That's right.
The land is gonna spew you out and kick you out.
Yeah.
The land gonna turn on you because it's already been commanded by God to turn on you.
That's right.
Accept others instead of us.
And now the land has accepted others other than us, like the brother just said.
Yeah.
As long as the land lies desolate without you being there,
Yeah, that's what
It will
God
enjoy
said.
her
it will
Sabbath.
enjoy her
Enjoy her
Sabbath.
Sabbath.
Ain't
Enjoy
that
her
something
Sabbath,
else?
As long as we ain't there.
Ain't that
Don't worry
something
about the
else?
people that's there.
That sounds like a parent that has denounced their own children and will accept others that's not his children in place.
That's right.
Ain't that something, man?
Yeah.
Tom Sheep.
Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord God shall choose. One from among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee.
Now, where did this king thing started? How did this even start? Because God knew the present, past, and the future, and we, Yoel and Abiah, were two judges in Israel. And these two guys were Samuel's sons.
Yeah.
But Samuel's sons did not walk in the footsteps of their fathers.
That's right.
They started to take unjust gain. They started to take bribes, and they perverted judgment.
Change judgment.
I said they perverted and changed the judgment.
Yes.
We pervert and change the judgment today.
Yeah.
That's right.
Same thing.
That's right.
I cannot judge this matter according to my own will
That's right.
or according to how I think. I have to judge this matter according to the way God said. But people tend to get angry with you when you judge righteously
According to what
because
God
I don't
said.
side with you in your faults.
That's right.
Huh?
See, when we're dealing with these laws, there's no friends
No
involved.
sides. No sides.
Family is out the window.
That's right. God first.
Family is out the window. So now the people went to Samuel and said, listen, man, we need a king. She said, because we don't know what's going to happen after you. We don't know what's going to take place after you. Right? So now, boom, 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 boom. He said, the Lord said unto Samuel, hearken to the voice of the people, in all that they say unto thee, for they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them, according to all the works which they have done since the day that I brought them up out the land of Egypt, which means everything that I've done for you, does that hold any type of weight?
Yes, supposed to.
Why would you go and ask for a king when I did all this for you?
King.
More than
You got a-
That's the
king of
mentality
kings.
of the wicked, how wicked
Most
people
righteous.
move and react. That means we was not faithful. There's no faithfulness in people that move that way. There's no loyalty with people that move that way.
God-
I heard my brother say something, and he spoke about it, and I felt it to his soul. He said, nah. He said, this guy here, he said, nah, I really want to do him something because I took you as my friend. And I turned on people
for you.
for you. So therefore, you in return supposed to acknowledge that and never turn on me. The man. And never turn on me. But we cannot expect evil and wicked men that don't acknowledge God to have these godly traits. They don't got those godly traits. We learn these traits by reading the book. And we learn these traits by reading the book to apply them to oneself. Go ahead, Tom Sheep.
Middle of verse 15. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother.
Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother. Read.
Verse 16.
Tamshi.
But he shall not multiply horses to himself,
Mhm.
nor cause the people to return to Egypt, to the end that he shall multiply horses.
Mhm.
For as much as the Lord has said unto you, ye shall henceforth return no more that way. Neither shall he multiply wives to himself. That his
Neither
heart
shall he multiply wives to himself. That law was for the king.
Yeah.
That law was for the kings. God told the king not to multiply wives. Right? But if a man have it to have more than one wife, he can do so also. Okay?
Right.
I forgot what I said. Oh. Jealousy only comes from a person that owns and possesses.
That's right.
Oh.
I said jealousy only comes from ones that possesses.
That's right.
the owner.
That's why God is jealous.
That's why God is jealous.
He owns our souls.
That's why you have the jealousy law for the man when he suspects his
Spirit of
wife
jealousy come upon him. That's
of
right.
sleeping around.
That's right. And not so for the woman.
Okay? And it's not so with the woman.
That's right.
And we have to train ourselves to accept this.
That's right.
We can't continue to get angry at the word of God.
That's right.
Because as long as we continue to get angry with the word of God, you're not going to excel in righteousness.
That's right.
God is going to leave you at a certain level.
Wisdom will not enter.
Wisdom is not going to enter into you so that you can excel with God. We limit ourselves.
That's right. Say it again.
We limit ourselves. You hold yourself back.
Yeah.
I hold me back
Fact.
by our thinking pattern and the things that we do. Go ahead, Tom Sheep.
Neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away.
Wait a minute. So that will turn his heart away. Right? Okay, go ahead.
Neither shall he greatly multiply to himself
Silver and gold.
silver and
Read.
gold. And it shall be when he sitteth upon the
When
throne
he
of his
sitteth upon
kingdom,
the throne of his kingdom,
that he shall write him a copy of this law in a book out of that which is before
Wait
the
a minute.
priests.
a copy of this law, the word for copy is mishneh. Mishneh means to study by oral repetition. To sharpen, to sharpen by oral repetition. So by repeating
Sharpen.
this over and over, somehow I don't like to read silently.
Yes.
I don't like to read silent.
Yeah. Good. Me neither.
I like to read loud.
You hear the word.
Because when you read loud, you hear your words, and it's like you're talking to your spirit.
That's right.
You're programming your spirit.
Words have power.
I'm not talking to myself. I'm talking to that which you can't see.
That's right. I'm not crazy.
That evil that's in me. So I read aloud. I used to lay down and I play the tapes. And while I'm laying down trying to sleep, I'm repeating and going along with the words that I'm listening to.
Yeah.
The next thing I end up falling asleep. The bell rings off. Pray, pray, pray. Time to get up for work. The tape's still playing. I fell asleep listening to those words and repeating those words. You know I get that from my father.
Yeah.
That's right.
My father did that every night. That was his music.
That's right.
That was his jazz.
Uh-huh.
He went to bed, he played the tapes and went to lay down and slept. Next thing he fall asleep, the tape finished playing, he knocked out.
That's right. It's still in there. You can hear it.
But it's still there, and you still hear it in your sleep.
Oh, yeah.
People in a coma could still hear it.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right. He says, study by oral repetition, to sharpen by oral repetition. Go ahead.
And it shall be when he sitteth upon the throne of his kingdom, that he shall write him a copy of this law in a book out of that which is before the priests, the Levites.
So the only ones that had a copy of these laws was the king and the priest. That's it. That's it. This stops everybody having their own idea and their own perception about what the book is.
Uh-huh.
Okay?
We all on the same page.
We all on the same
I'm telling
page.
you.
Okay? Go ahead.
And it shall be with him,
And it shall be with him.
and he shall read therein,
He shall read therein all the
life.
days of his life.
that he may learn to
That
fear.
he may learn to fear. This is something that we need to learn. That he may, lamed or lomed means to learn, that he may learn to fear. So that you may train yourselves to fear God by studying or by sharpening by oral repetition. This is a training, man. You gotta train you.
That's right. They stay the same.
I have to train me by denouncing and muffling the evil that I have in me by telling myself that I'm wrong and I shouldn't have did that. By using the book. To train means to form by instructions, discipline, or drill. You know what a drill is? Something that's done over and over. Huh? And when we form by instruction, discipline, or drill, that's what makes you qualified. Now you're qualified. But you can't be qualified if you don't do these things. Without the training. Tamshi.
To keep all the words of this law
Uh-huh.
and these statutes, to do them.
To do them, read.
That his heart be not lifted up above
That
his
his
brethren.
heart be not lifted up above who?
His brethren.
Above his brethren. Which means I don't think I'm better than you.
Right.
My heart is not uplifted, which brings about self-estimation, self-esteem. You don't esteem yourself above. Tamshi.
That his heart be not lifted up above his brethren, and that he turn not aside from the commandment to the right hand or to the left, to the end that he may prolong his days in his kingdom, he and his children in the midst of Israel.
Okay, cut that. And let's go into Psalms 94.
Take time.
Psalms chapter 94. Got it? I'm sure.
Psalms 94.
Right.
O Lord God, to whom vengeance belongeth.
To whom vengeance belongeth? Huh? Vengeance. Sound like something that God stopped King David from doing.
Yeah.
I said, God stopped King David from avenging himself. It must be something that we should not be doing. You gotta watch it. We turn to vengeance against our own people easily. Easily. I didn't see my father avenge himself about nothing. Once they serve God, most of it, he let go. And I'm listening.
Oh yeah.
Almost everything he let go of.
Yeah,
And I'm listening, and I'm trying to recollect and think back about the amount of passes that he gave.
That's right.
A lot of
And then the
passes.
power was well within his hand.
The power was well in his hand to do you harm.
Oh yeah.
But he passed up on it.
That's right.
Why? Why?
Because of God's people.
Can't we see that there's an elevation in place? To elevate, you have to look, man. That's why he was so elevated and so picked up with God.
Right. See the heart for God.
That's right. Tamshi.
O God, to whom vengeance
Vengeance
belongeth,
belongeth.
show thyself.
Show thyself.
Lift up thyself.
Lift up thyself. God is the only one that exalts himself.
That's correct. That's correct.
Huh? I said,
Yeah.
God is the only one that exalts himself. Right? To exalt means to elevate by praises. Exaltation comes in different forms.
Yeah.
Because you feel, because of who you are, it shouldn't be done. You shouldn't say this to me. You shouldn't do this to me. King David said, leave him alone, Abishai. King David said, leave him alone, Abishai. He He said, maybe God told him to curse King David. He said, leave him.
That's right.
And then later on, at his deathbed, he instructed Solomon and said, listen, man. He said, this guy here cursed me with a vehement curse. Right? He said, you know what to do.
That's right.
Which means what? You can't kill him for what I said I wasn't going to kill him for. You are a wise man.
He put stipulations.
Put stipulations.
God
he told him not to leave Jerusalem. And somehow someone came back with a message and telling him that his servant left. When he found out that his servant left, he went chasing after his servant. That was his downfall. And then King Solomon reminded him of what he did to his father. Now, I can't kill you for this, but I remind you what you did.
Yeah.
And I don't like it.
Right.
He said, but this is why you're dying. Because I told you, and I put stipulations, and you didn't follow. Some see.
Lift up thyself, thou judge of the earth. Render a reward to the proud.
Render a reward to the proud. Right? Now, the proud heart look at you as a failure. I said, the proud heart look at you as a failure by ignoring your strength, by magnifying your weakness, your faults, your weaknesses, to establish himself, to establish herself. So I magnify your faults so I could look good.
That's real insecurity.
Right? It's a deadly mixture of discomfort, discontent. It's a deadly mixture of discontent. Discontent means you're not satisfied. All right? And greed, which leaves you unsatisfied and angry at every inconvenience and affliction.
Touchy.
Which leaves you unsatisfied by every inconvenience and affliction because it didn't go the way you wanted it to go.
That's right.
Then the complaining, excuses. And all
So now you angry.
Yeah.
Now you tight.
Blaming.
Now you blaming. Tom, see?
Lord, how long shall the wicked triumph?
How long shall the wicked triumph? How long shall the wicked Ya'alotz? Ya'alotzu. It means to be happy, to rejoice. How long shall the wicked rejoice? How long shall the wicked be happy and rejoice? Go ahead, read.
How long shall they utter and speak hard things?
How long shall they utter and speak hard things? So the word for hard is atah. Ayin tal kuf. It means arrogance. Now, what is arrogance? It's when a person is unpleasantly proud and behaving as if you are more important than or no more than others. It's arrogant. Right? Tom, see?
And all the workers of iniquity boast themselves.
And all the workers of iniquities boast themselves. The word for boast is yit amru. And all the workers of iniquity speak and utter. All right, go ahead.
They break in pieces
the
thy
workers
people.
of iniquity come from the word awain. It means injustice, lack of fairness, violation of the rights of others. I will violate your rights. We all got God-given rights.
That's right.
And when we violate those rights, God look at you and say, you're unjust. We got to be careful, man. We got to be careful. We always got to be on point with ourselves, acknowledging the situation accordingly, so that I don't violate your rights, or I don't deal with you in a way that's not godly.
That's right.
Because if I deal with you in a way that's not godly, then God look at me with the crooked eye. God look at me and said, man, you evil, man. You wicked, and you're walking around thinking you're doing right. You're walking around thinking that you're doing right, but we don't have the perception to perceive and acknowledge, to pinpoint what is right. This is why you need a guide.
Okay.
This is why God said you need a guide. You need somebody somebody to pinpoint and show you what you're doing that is wrong.
That's right. That's right.
You need that. Tom Sheep.
They break in pieces
What
thy
verse you at?
people, O Lord.
Verse
Verse 5.
They break what?
They break in pieces thy people, O Lord, and
Uh-huh.
afflict thine heritage.
Uh-huh.
They slay the widow and the stranger and murder the
They
fatherless.
break in pieces thy people, O Lord, and afflict thine heritage. The word for afflict is daka. Dale kaf he. It means to oppress. What does oppress mean? To keep someone in subservience. Subservience by unjust exercise of authority. A subservient person is willing to obey. And you use that.
Take advantage of that.
You take advantage of those
You know,
things.
it's not like-
You abuse your authority. Yeah, I got the authority. Look, man, sometimes you don't feel like going to the store. You get up and go to the store. Oh, you just got here. No, we ain't doing that. You got to think about the treatment. The guy is sitting down relaxing. Oh, brother, man, I need you to go to the store. Yeah, you know he want to go to the store. How? And because he don't go to the store for you, you get angry. Check yourself, man. I ain't got to go to the store for you. You want me to act in the movie. I got a new movie called Cassius Clay. And I want you to act in it. And because you don't want to act in the movie and play the role that you want me to play, you get angry. I just said that for an example. Now think yourself and consider the things that you did that was compared to that now. And you tell yourself if you ain't unjust and evil and wicked. You can't get angry at me because I don't want to do something that you want me to do. Tom C, verse 6.
They slay the widow.
They slay the widow
and the stranger.
and the stranger.
And murder the fatherless.
We don't consider and acknowledge nothing that God considered.
That's right.
God said, consider the widow. That's the almana.
That's right.
That's the woman that kept her leg closed after her husband died.
That's
That
right.
woman got power.
Oh, yeah.
And God have a special eye
Special
towards that woman.
That's right.
A special eye towards that woman. Huh? God hears the voice of the widow. Please, if something going wrong with me, the first one I want crying for me is my mama. Why? Because she's the widow.
Right here.
And ever since I seen her cry for this person, I seen things turned for the better.
Immediately.
Huh?
That's right. Absolutely.
Immediately.
I walked in that room and seen her in tears. I
Crying
said,
out.
man, I gotta go in because this woman crying out,
Crying
boy.
out.
I heard her crying out, and while she crying, she repeating the prayer.
Yeah.
DB,
Yeah.
repeating the prayer and psalms and praying and confessing. I said, man, we go in there
Yeah.
and stand next to her because she may fall out.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna stop her.
I cried.
I said, let her keep going.
I never heard
And I
that.
I ain't never hear that.
Never.
Ever since then, I see things turn. Yes, brother.
That's
Right? I
Immediately.
seen things flip immediately.
That's right. That's right, man.
Come on, man.
Pride of the widow.
These are the
Right.
things that God acknowledged. God said, acknowledge the fatherless. He didn't say if you're 60 years old, you ain't fatherless no more.
That's right. Talk about it.
I'm 70 and I'm still fatherless.
Fatherless.
Fatherless is fatherless, man. It also goes as deep as the yatum, because the word for fatherless is yatum. Yatum means unprotected. So you know what that means now? It goes even deeper. I could still have a father, but my father's not around. I fall under that category as being unprotected. My father could be in prison doing 25 to life. I got a father, but he's not here. He ain't here. He said, look out for the stranger. Huh? Look out for the stranger. We can't look at nobody and call nobody no stranger.
Yeah, stop that.
Right.
Because this ain't no damn black nation. Stop telling the people that this is a black nation, a black nation, a black nation. The first world was black.
The Hamites are black.
The Hamites was black. Canaanites were black. We come in all forms and shades and colors and bouquet with. We a bouquet of flowers.
That's right.